MagicCon Amsterdam is right around the corner, and in addition to the events and the content creators, this is the place where you can meet your favorite artists. The Art of Magic area is set to gather 65 artists where you can get cards signed, buy playmats, and meet genuinely fun people. To get you prepared, Serena and I are going to run through the list, showcasing in our opinion these artists' most powerful and or popular cards and the best card art. We'll get started with the 5 featured artists and then run through the list alphabetically by their first name.
All right. Well, our first featured artist is Chris Rallis. What I really like about Chris Rallis's art is that he's an amazing figurative artist. The way he draws figures, people, I find it's really dynamic. And with that dynamic aspect, I think what really is really showcased in his art is his great use of lighting. Lighting is something that really separates an amazing artist from a good artist, to be able to show the perspective of where the light's coming in and how it's hitting the figure or the person or creature or whatever you're trying to showcase. I think Chris Rallis really nails that. His strongest art that he's done is Mnemonic Deluge. That card, I had it in my Narset Enlightened Master deck, which I had to disassemble because it was so widely hated amongst all my pods, which I understand. I understand why. But once this card hit the field, it was game over. And I think in any Spellslinger deck that can cheat this card out, it is so painful to watch someone copy an extra turn spell a million times, and then you just watch them play the game. So definitely is the one of the strongest, and it's also really good art. I mean, using the POV of having the blurry raindrops and the close up in the foreground while having it also be in the background, that really kind of borders the subject in the center of this wizard that's receiving all of this mystical power and insight. And I think it's just a really great card. I love cards that really exemplify the name of the card with the art. And I think this card does it perfectly. My personal opinion for the best art of Chris Rallis is Shilgengar, Sire of Famine. There is just something so metal about a demon sitting on a throne of angel wings, and the overhead lighting, going back to that dynamic lighting of Chris Rallis, just you serving as a spotlight on Shilgengar. And it's one of those arts that the more you look at it, the more you notice. I remember when I first saw this card during Modern Horizons 3 spoilers, I remember I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then I remember I was like, wait a second, is that a throne of angel wings? It's just so insanely it's dark, but it's beautiful in a way. It's beautiful in a horrifying way. So I love that. I love that art for sure.
Our second featured artist is Gabor, or Gabor Shishkai, as seen on the cards. There were a lot of cards to choose from here, and you really look at them and say, oh yeah, this is classic Magic art. So for the most popular card here, I went with Plaza of Heroes. It's a land and is very popular for Legendary Matters Kindred decks, and has an ability to protect your best historic creature from destruction by making it both hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Now for the best art, I really enjoyed the depiction of utter chaos seen in Magma Quake. Knights and horses alike are trying to escape the fire and destruction raining on them and the fog and smoke engulfing them. A really cool scene here.
Yeah, I agree. I love arts that depict action scenes, and that can do it really well. Shout out Gabor also did Grand Augustine the Fourth, that one of the most hated cards in all of Magic. So shout out.
That's right. Popular for other reasons and by certain players.
That's actually funny because that really ties into my next artist that I'm about to go into. So our next featured artist is Karl Kopinski. I think, he is also someone that really radiates that old school Magic art style. It's that dark, gritty fantasy style. It's very Dark Crystal, Pan's Labyrinth-esque. Speaking of hated cards, he did the original Vorinclex Voice of Hunger. Everyone knows it, everyone hates it, or loves it if it's in your deck. I personally run it in my Eshki deck, so shout out Vorinclex. It used to be a game changer before they ended up removing a lot of the legendary creatures. But, it's one of those cards when you set to hit the field, everyone just rolls their eyes. Everyone's like, great, now we have to deal with this. So definitely an incredibly strong card, super popular. Is it people's favorites? Maybe for the one casting it. My favorite art that he did is it's a little bit of a random card, but Deathbringer Thoktar. I really, really love his use of scaling in this art. It's like just to show the sheer size of this beast. And to reference, there's the two goblins like just staring up of like, dang, it's over. We're cooked. We're this beast next meal. I just love that, like, just the eminence that this beast is radiating. I really, really enjoy.
And it's a zombie beast, and Karl does a good job showing that through the depiction of the body, ribs showing, face and horns ripped up, the scars of its past life before ruling in undeath too. Our next featured artist is Magali Villeneuve. Nearly 200 cards to this artist, plenty of planeswalkers, with art in Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, as well as in this latest set, Marvel Superheroes. Lots of focus on creatures, with a number of them being the face cards for Commander Precons and beginner decks. Definitely a lot here, so worth taking a look at the portfolio. Now, the most popular card here has to be Y'shtola, Knights Blessed. Lots of love for the character, and the art, and the card abilities, all making this a highly sought-after Precon commander, getting into the top 3 most played commanders within the first year of playability. Because of this, I had to choose Y'shtola over Narset, Enlightened Master, Winota, Joiner of Forces, and Miri, Weatherlight Duelist. Nothing was going to beat the best Cat Warlock out there. And then for best art, I went with one of Serena's favorite cards, Ariete of the Charmed Apple. You can already see some of that similar artwork to Y'shtola, the dark tones, blonde white hair. I really enjoy how much this art looks just like a storybook cover. It really fits in with the themes of Eldraine. And if you are able to blow up the picture, you can see Ariete's real face reflected in her gown, which is a nice touch.
I believe this is our last of the 5 featured artists. This is Zoltan. I really like looking at his art. There's like a sense of silliness with a lot of his art. It's like there's a lot of like, there's a sense of silliness and goofiness and a lot, it looks like he did a lot of work on the Unfinity set, which quote unquote joke set. So I think he completely nailed it. But I think another thing that he does incredibly well is just the detailing in his art. I think that's something that is really, really prevalent in older like magic arts. There's just so much detail, and you can just zoom in and you see every line of a floorboard, a wall, in the armor, in a weapon, and it's just like all those fine details where like and I think sometimes in magic cards, when you have all that great detail work, when it's kind of smushed into that small frame of a card, to me sometimes it's like a little bit like of, I don't want to say an eyesore. It's a little bit, it can seem really busy. But when you take those arts and you blow it up on either, like you said, like a playmat or just like an art card, I think that's where those details really, really shine. Probably the most popular card he's done is the borderless Ragavan Nimble Pilferer from the Modern Horizons 2 set. I mean, it's in nearly every red deck. Speaking from a commander standpoint, like this card is so popular. It gets like people's engines going fast, creating treasure tokens, and if you have the mana to spend it, stealing your opponent's cards for the dash cost of 2 mana to give it haste. But even in red, giving something haste is incredibly easy for very cheap. So super, super popular card. But my personal opinion for his best art is the textless Flame Javelin. I love a textless card, especially if the card has a lot of words on the original printing. I think it's so funny whenever they do that. I think it's so cool. The line work that went into creating the literal Flame Javelin is so impeccable. I love, like I said, you can zoom in, you can see each and every single one of those lines detailed, and just like all of like the little like things in the wizard's clothing. It gives you these context clues of perhaps the setting. You don't see where he's standing or where he is, but the cowl and the cloak, and perhaps he's in a desert or in a warmer climate. I think these details are just so important when creating a figure without showing the setting. Like that is where we get that insight of like what's happening, where is he, like what a backstory could be, and creating that story from a character in an instant spell, not even like an actual creature spell. So I love that. I love when an artist can do that. Also, fun fact, Gabor and Zoltan, they did the Wheel of Sun and Moon from, I believe it was like Eventide or Shadowmoor, one of the original Lorwyn sets. They worked on that together. And it's another great piece of art. Very beautiful.
Aaron has definitely been doing this for a bit. It was something as much as I could while scrolling through cards and Gatherer and other places. Aaron has over 100 to his name, and that was something that I noted for those folks that have really been doing the art for Magic the Gathering for quite some time. Now, one of the cards that I very much enjoy, and I think has some really awesome, really detailed art on it, is Skullport Merchant. Now, this is a dwarf citizen in black. It's all about sacrificing creatures, creating treasures, and this art just contains so many different weapons and artifacts and just so much. There's just so much within this image. You really, you get a chance when you can look at it digitally to just sort of scroll around and really review it. It's really just impressive. So I think that one's a popular one, not just because of the image, but also because of what the card can do. And then as far as best art, so Aaron has a version of Kenrith that is just all of these orange, yellow, dark hues. It's sort of an action pose as Kenrith is slicing apart the spirit. It's really impressive. It's the Kenrith that I know. I know there are a couple different versions, especially now that there's Final Fantasy as well. If I ever built a Kenrith, this was the version that I would have used. He's got the big antler helmet on. It's just really cool. I just think the sword is in such focus. This is the Kenrith that I know.
Yes. I love the nod of the adding the antlers to the horn, to the helmet, as a callback to the original Eldraine set where, Oko transformed him into an elk with those horns. So I think it's a cool little callback.
He's owning it. He's owning it now.
100%.
Next up is Adam Packett. Close to 200 cards in Adam's portfolio. A lot of focus on lands and structures. Also of great note, Adam did the full art Edge of Eternity's lands. You could probably do a whole video just on those. Those lands are so cool. The colors, the vastness of space, hot items right there. I made sure to pick other cards though to showcase, especially when that strongest and most powerful card is the Great Henge. There's definitely a reason why this card is so expensive. The high mana cost can easily be reduced. It gives you the ability to ramp with extra mana. It gives you life. It gives you more cards. There's one card that pushes your deck so far forward, and it's got great art. Then, for best art, I went with Castle Garenbrig, an MTG arena staple for me and a creature-heavy powerhouse. This art just looks like a photo of an English or Irish countryside. The sun shining down and the shadows across these structures. It's so impressive. It looks so real.
I love an artist where their specialty is like landscape paintings. Special shout out to Adam, who also did the Scalding Tarn special guest for Tarkir Dragonstorm. That's probably one of my top 5 favorite arts of all time. It's just so beautiful. That'd be my pick personally. But you have great picks. I mean, I have literally probably 5 copies of the Great Henge, so I love that card. So I can attest it is quite popular. The next one we have up is Alayna Danner. Now, Alayna has done a ton of art for land cards. And my favorite type of paintings is landscape paintings. I love anything nature. So, like, I was really excited to research this artist and see what else she's done. Her strongest card definitely is a tie between Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx, and Caverner Souls. Um, the Caverner Souls being from the Ixalan set, and the Nykthos was from a Secret Lair, actually. And I mean, both of these cards are so strong. I mean, Caverner Souls to make, again, it's a great type card. Making it uncounterable is so strong. And then Nykthos is just amazing ramp when you're in monocolor. Even in some dual color, it's still a great option. So both of those are amazing. Now, for my favorite art, this was so hard to
Yeah.
pick because there's so many. But she did do my all-time favorite art in any Magic the Gathering card, which is the borderless treatment of the Temple Garden from Return to Ravnica. This card is just so gorgeous. I mean, I'm sure everyone will notice a pattern from the cards that I like, but this one, it's just so beautiful. It looks like a gorgeous elven city. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings. This giant tree and this palace that is so integrated into the tree. It reminds me of Elden Ring. Shout out any Elden Ring fans. It just has that sense of impracticality, which I love in fantasy art. I don't think anything should be practical in fantasy. That's why it's fantasy. But I mean, Temple Garden, of course, gorgeous art, gorgeous card. So all-time favorite for sure.
Excellent choices. Excellent choices. Yes, Alayna, the landscapes, the cityscapes, the skyscapes. Alayna is actually one of the reasons why I knew I wanted to do a video series like this. I got
Mhm.
to hang out with her just a little bit at MagicCon Las Vegas last year. Got to see, Ottawara, right? Some of these just, she had a number of mats out. She was talking with folks. She just had such a light about her, and the art is just, yes, the ones that you could just really just sink into, think about what it would be like to wake up to this sort of environment. Was
Mhm.
really, yeah, it's really cool. So I'm glad you got to talk about her a little, and I'm glad she's going back. She's definitely somebody you should check out if you're over at MagicCon this year.
100%. Our next artist, who is Aurore Folny, another great figurative artist. Their art style is much brighter, in terms of like comparison to other arts that I talked about previously. There's just like, the great use of bright colors, and it just is like it always kind of seems like a lot of her art just very bright. Like everything happens in the daytime in this artist world. I love. I think that's great. So I definitely, like I said, I love dynamic lighting. I think their strongest slash most popular card. I mean, they did a Smothering Tithe. It's so hard to beat that in terms of power. They did it for the Judge Gift promos. So not only an incredibly powerful card, an incredibly expensive card. Well, not the most expensive Smothering Tithe, but definitely one of the top ones. Great card. I mean, need I say more? It's Smothering Tithe. It's just once you see it hit the board, again, another card that everyone just rolls their eyes. But I love Smothering Tithe, so I'm a Smothering Tithe apologist. Hashtag don't ban the tithe. So, but moving to my opinion, their best art is actually from the recent Secrets of Strixhaven set, Archaeomancer in the special guest slot. I think this art is just so pretty. It's another art where you can just spend so much time looking around in this classroom with all these canvases up, and we can see the inside of one of the artists using the figure model and the interpretation and what one can do with just the pose and creating a whole scene within the scene is so cool. And so I love it. Again, great lighting, great use of color, and also a pretty popular card as well, and a pretty good card one. So definitely a favorite. It's beautiful.
It's a great artist depicting an artist depicting art.
It's just the meta. It's just like whoa. It's just so many layers. So Prismari, exactly. Art on art on art.
Next up, we have Cristi Balanescu. Lots of art in modern sets here. Duskmorn, March of the Machines, the art for some of the main Baldur's Gate 3 characters. For strongest card here, I went with Ohertak, Deepest Foundation. I did want to say Titania, Voice of Gaia for Serena, but you're able to make 3 times as many token for any token you have that enters. Whether this is your commander or in the 99, you're getting some serious value here. The Ixalan gods were all so powerful, and Cristi did a great job with this art as well. The figure is depicted with such power, radiating energy so much that she's distorted. Now for best art, I went with the complexity that is Scale the Heights. I really like looking at this vast and mysterious landscape, possibly untouched by others except for this brave lone adventurer.
Yeah, it's great. I like the Scale the Heights art too. Don't worry, I'm not too upset you didn't say Titania. To be fair, it is probably the weakest Titania, so it's okay. I'm not too hurt. So our next artist is Diego Gisbert. He is a newer artist on the Magic the Gathering scene. Really random fact that I noticed going through his portfolio. He has a lot of arts that depict people pointing or reaching for things. I don't know if that's like his thing, but it really like it was like a surprising amount of people. I'm like this guy really likes like reaching out. It's like it was such a random thing I noticed, but I thought it was just kind of funny. I probably his strongest card is a Ruinous Ultimatum reprint from the Fallout precons. I mean, Ruinous Ultimatum, if you can cast it, it's like it's I mean, one of those cards, it's so color heavy, it's mana heavy, and you deserve to cast it at that point. I like if none of us got a counter spell and if you had the mana for it, I mean, it's kind of on me that we didn't take care of it. So great card. I loved it in my Kalia deck. For the best art is from the Tarkir Dragonstorm, Chico and Narset Precon, the Transcended Dragon. Such a good card. I mean, I think this style is so beautiful. I hope he continues this style. I think he depicts dragons beautifully. Just like this cascading waterfall that's like bending over the wings of the dragon, like the power that this dragon has to manipulate the water. The lighting, it really is a transcendent art, like wink wink nudge nudge. But like I think he absolutely nailed the card with this art. I think it's really beautiful. So I really hope we see more of that in the future from him because it's really great.
Next up is Dominik Mayer. You'll see in Dominik's portfolio a lot of flashes and clashes of light and dark colors. It's really mesmerizing, blurring, and affecting the eyes as you look at the figures of focus. Secrets of Strixhaven, Mystical Archive, special guest arts too, but this is especially true for the Phyrexia All Will Be One art, including the most powerful card, Zapandrel Hunger Dominus. Dominik also did a variant for Elish Norn, Mother of Machines, and Firelord Azula is there, but doubling your board's power and toughness, all the while making this creature indestructible for basically nothing, and it becoming a permanent nuisance takes the cake. Now, surprise, surprise, we just talked about this card, but for best art, I went not with Dominik's awesome full art new Capenna Triomes, which deserve some praise, but instead with another Ruinous Ultimatum, this time for Tarkir special guests. Dominik did all the ultimatums, but this one is my favorite. I really like seeing these flashes of red and black, the dragon on the battlefield truly mixed in with the fight on the ground. You are so close to the action here, and it is exhilarating.
You said it. A ton of great choices. Dominik has has such an insane portfolio. His style is so unique and it's so distinct. It's to me, he's approaching like Richard Kane Ferguson status of like recognizable art. Like when he does a card, it's to me, I recognize it right away. His style is so distinct, so I love it. And another artist that just loves color. I'm a huge fan. All right, so the next artist is Drew Tucker, another artist whose style is just such like a stamp. It's beautiful. I mean, I love as much as I love a versatile artist, I love an artist that no matter the prompt, they're going to do it their way. And I think Drew is one of those people. I want to say that it's watercolor, which I love watercolor paint. And if it's not, then he does such a great job at exemplifying that style of the blotchiness and the fluidity of the colors and the flow. It's just so beautiful. And I think obviously most iconic card is Dan Dan. He did the original Dan Dan. We look at the Secret Layer that was like sold out in seconds. Another iconic one, and probably his strongest card, is the Caverner Souls, the borderless Double Masters version. But my favorite definitely is a tie between Decimate, the borderless version from Dominaria Remastered. Such cool art. It's just so dynamic with these fierce colors and these reds and yellows, and you can see this beam that's puncturing this dragon. And again, it's such a great way to depict what Decimate does. It's destroying artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and it almost looks like it's doing all of that in one beam of the sphere, the land behind it, and then the dragon that's getting pierced. It's absolutely stunning. And then my other favorite art is Forbidden Orchard, again from Double Masters 2022, the borderless treatment. It's a mixture of whimsical, and then you look a little bit closer and what I think is a bear in the corner or on the side, and then I think it's cubs, but there's something off about the cubs, and it's like this weird mix of kind of horror, but also cute. I don't know, I love that. I like that it's a little confusing. I like that it's not super distinct and it kind of blends in, and I don't know, I think it's beautiful. I'd say this is amazing art. I think it's a great use of the absurdism of what his art does.
Yeah, that one makes you do a double take, definitely.
Our next artist is Edgar Sanchez Hidalgo. He is, I would call, a non-human figurative artist. He does a lot of silly creatures and and serious creatures, of course. And another thing I've noticed with him, he does a lot of like non-horse mounts. Like it's a lot of art depicting smaller creatures riding a chicken or a badger or a goat or an elephant or I think one there's like a salamander. So I think it's really cool that he is like just has these really imaginative ways of showcasing ways that smaller magical creatures get around on mounts. I think it's really fun. I think the strongest card he's done is from the recent Secrets of Strixhaven set, being Resonating Lute, a 4-mana artifact that can have your lands tap for 2 mana of any one color and to use on instant sorceries. I think this is such an instant include in so many Spellslinger decks. And on top of that, it gives you card draw. I mean, it just gives you everything that a Spellslinger deck needs, and I think it was a very strong addition when it was spoiled. But my personal favorite, and I think the best art, is Themper Shad from a D&D Secret Layer. It is so silly. It is so cute. I don't care that he looks menacing. I want to cuddle with him. Such a cute dragon. The art is just so perfect. And I think this dragon with, and not so much on the artistic perspective, from the design perspective of the card, the fact that when it attacks, you can exert it to have it a flying, meaning that you can't untap it in the next untap step, is just so funny, because it really probably is a huge exertion to get this giant dragon off the ground, and just like showing the greediness on top of the gold. It's just like it brings a smile to my face every time. Like I would love like a full playmat of this dragon. It's so funny to me. I love it.
And now a word about our sponsors. Playing a long game of Magic the Gathering can be tiring. Not to mention the fun, but exhausting days at a con or at your local game store, going from event to event and table to table. One of the best ways to continue in stride is with Dubby. Dubby is an energy drink brand with a single goal: make an energy drink that is jitter-free, crash-free, with no sugars, artificial colors and dyes, and 0 calories. Dubby has energy drink blends, caffeine-free, electrolyte-focused hydration blends, and other items meant to keep you at your peak. Use the link in the description, or at checkout, use code SPELLTABLE to get 10% off. Again, that's code SPELLTABLE to get 10% off. Try Dubby today. Magic the Gathering is enjoyed best when it feels like a fun game and not an overtax on your mental capacity. Getting to the table already stressed and uncomfortable only increases when you are not treating your body right. Deemed Fit is an activewear and athleisure brand dedicated to creating clothing to support your fitness and mental goals, all the while supporting first responders, service members, community providers, and veterans, and promoting mental well-being. Are you ready to get into the best physical and mental shape possible this year? Use the link in the description, or at checkout use code SPELLTABLE to get 15% off. Again, that's code SPELLTABLE to get 15% off. Try Deemed Fit today.
Our next artist is Eli Minaya. I had a bit of a tough time looking for strongest cards, but Eli's style, again, I would describe it as loud, but in the best way. It's extremely bright colors, and it almost looks like this is art that's painted on like a concrete wall. I don't know how or why I'm getting that feeling. It just has like this like such a solid sort of imprint. Like it was something that was like flashed onto a wall, and it's cool, and it's full of colors, and it looks like, the art is almost dancing at you. I think his strongest card is probably Get Lost, the instant that can destroy a target creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. I think, enchantment removal is notoriously hard to find. And this also target planeswalkers, which again is also notoriously hard to find or even include in decks, unless you're against a lot of planeswalker decks. So I think it's a very strong card. My favorite art, though, by far, is Spark Rupture. This is just so gorgeous, and it's like this woman and with her hands up, and it's like she's conjuring this explosion of light, but at the center of this light is this black hole, and it's just, again, this gorgeous core of darkness and explosion of light. And I think it tells a story, and in such a way that it's almost subtle at the story that's being told in such a loud environment. And so I love that difference.
Okay, so I'm covering Eric DeCamp. Almost 200 cards tied to Eric. It's really tough to choose a most popular, so I'll just sort of give a rapid fire and you'll get to see them on screen. I don't think I'm going to give a favorite here. I'm just going to say them all. So you've got Esper Sentinel, you've got Captivating Vampire, you've got Giada, Font of Hope, you've got Jared, Golgari Lich Lord, Karametra, Olivia Voldaren, Perforos, Deflecting Palm, and a number of other planeswalkers. So if you look at this list of over 200 cards, you're going to find something that you know. You're going to find something that's in your decks. really a lot of iconic Magic the Gathering art here, which means that it was really tough to find a best art.
Totally.
And
I got
I
that.
think I went on the simple side. On the Innistrad, there's the Planeswalker Arwen, the Pax Hope. Just really detailed. It just felt like a portrait. Just somebody just posing for a moment. It's full art. You see her standing in this forest. And maybe what really blew it away was all the small wolf cub in her arms. Just that black patch of fur in the middle of the card there. A lot going for it. It just felt very serene. It was really interesting to see. It was sort of reminiscent of MH3 has those profile cards, and this felt like maybe a precursor to it, where it was really just, hey, think about if your planeswalker, your creature, just sort of stood still for a moment and got painted, or got their picture taken. What would it look like? And that's what I really saw with Arlen.
And then we move to Evyn Fong. Evyn Fong, she has done some amazing work. So it was very hard to pick both a favorite and strongest card, but I think her strongest card is definitely Tamiyo Inquisitive Student, the borderless treatment from Modern Horizons 3. This is also my favorite art, along with Tamiyo's Safekeeping from this secret layer, the Furby's secret layer, and the Beloved Princess with the Miku secret layer. But to talk about Tamiyo Inquisitive Student first, Tamiyo is just one of my favorite planeswalkers. I hope we see her in Reality Fracture because I think she is such a cool character, and it's just so there's just such a lightness to her work. It seems as if everything is suspended and like with low gravity and in this like cotton candy colorful world. I think all three of these arts both kind of fall into that. Tamiya's Safekeeping. I mean, I love pink. I love anything colorful. So just like this art of Tamiyo sitting in this cherry blossom tree as she feeds Furbies. I mean, why the heck not? It's gorgeous. And then Miku's Beloved Princess. I've seen a lot of the Miku arts. I mean, they did like freaking 20 secret layers for Miku. But this one, to me, it's such a beautiful depiction of her. And it's like, again, if cotton candy was a scene, it would be this art. And the dress is just so, it's to die for. And I think any little girl or any little boy seeing this, and I think it would just be inspiring. And why not? Who wouldn't want to be this princess? It's beautiful. I love it. Huge fan of Evyn Fong. She does great work.
Next up is Filip Burburan. Definitely a creature-focused artist here. And of particular note, when looking across this artist portfolio, was the multitude of spikes. Spiky arms, spiky terrain, sharp teeth, spikes aplenty. That is also true with my pick for the most popular card, Old Gnawbone. A well-known green dragon from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, this 7/7 gives all of your swings the opportunity for massive treasure gains. Good hits mean your second main is plentiful in mana. For best art, though I did like Cactarantula, I enjoy a good spider, I really enjoyed Kolfiner the Last Yew. This creature is a tree folk shaman completely surrounded in a dense forest, melding with the nature around and having noticeable human-like features, eyes, hands, a beard, a nose, all amongst a golden light captured below the treetops.
Alrighty, so our next artist is Gobaleps. The last video we did, Evan, I probably said the word whimsical 10,000 times. And in this video, I'm going to say the word lighting also 10,000 times because I think he does such a cool technique with using white in a lot of his paintings to like showcase almost like a neon light effect in a lot of art that brings like a real brightness, like an actual, like really seems like the card itself is lighting up. I think it's so cool. It's such a fun technique, and I'm a huge like fan of like personal art as well. I love an oil painter. Check out also his not only his magic portfolio, but his personal one as well. It was a tie for the strongest cards for me for different reasons. I think on the standard side, I know Psycho Frog was a really popular card. I'm not a standard player, but I was told by my standard player friends that Psychic Frog was pretty strong. So definitely has to be up there. The other one, I think on the commander side is Chimmel, the Inner One. This card, letting you discover 5 on your end step. The 5 none of your spells can be countered. You know, it's such a staple in not only artifact decks, but I think any sort of creature heavy deck. It is very, 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 very strong. Chimmel being that literal inner sun of like this artifact that's floating in the sky. It's beautiful. I love it. But my favorite art that he's done is an Unfinity card called Fluoros of Maya's Marvels. This card is banned in every single format. I'm a firm believer that all of the Myra's Marvel cards make them commander legal. Let silliness happen. I think it's so cool. And this card is just so beautiful. The coloring is just to die for. Using that white to create the neon rings of light encompassing his arms and around his waist. Such a cool detail and such a cool technique. And then that purple fins that span out behind him just to give him this aura effect. It's so gorgeous. Another special shout out to Coruscate, the 2-mana Offspring Otter from Bloomborough. Super, super strong card. I love that card for an uncommon especially.
We are next talking about Greg Staples. Over 300 cards that Greg has done over the lifespan of Magic the Gathering. Plenty of hits in modern sets, Duskmourn, Doctor Who, Assassin's Creed, focus on Lorehold within Secrets of Strixhaven, TMNT, Spider-Man. For the popular card, well, maybe an infamous card, a favorite among a certain meta of players, I went with Sen Triplets. Coming in from Double Masters, this is a card that if you pay that cost and it sticks around to your upkeep, you get to control a player and play their game for your own benefit. This is a brutal card. No one wants to be controlled, and this is something you can do again and again. It has never been easier to make copies of Sen Triplets and play the whole table for the rest of the game. A crazy powerful card with assault score to match. And you can see within the art that just like Brea, that mix of flesh and metal, it's very interesting. And we continue this misery and salt with something maybe more tolerable, but more prolific for best art, and that is the Lord of Pain. Now an iconic card and a great Rakdos commander. The very cool full art with the screens, the army of loyal subjects, just dealing indirect damage around the table and completely shutting off life gain strategies.
I will introduce our next artist. We have Igor Kieryluk. He is another dark fantasy-esque artist. The flowing cloaks and the tendrils and fabric work. I think he just has a way of expressing the fluid motion of a breeze with a cloak, or the draping of like a long dress. I think it's really beautiful. I think what in Igor's work is almost like a juxtaposition of Aurore's work, where it seemed like all her art was during the daytime. It seems like in his artistic world, it's like an internal dusk sort of setting, which I love, and I think it really shines in that fabric work. His most popular / strongest card has got to be the OG Elish Norn Grand Cenobite. This is such a good card, especially in Commander. It can be such a good one-sided board wipe, especially against token decks, while also beefing up your own board with a 4/7 body. It's huge. For the 7 mana it costs, I think it's totally worth to cast. Super, super, super powerful card. And then for my favorite art, this is a bit of a, maybe it might be seen as a random pick, but I love his art for the Alabaster Kieran. I really want there to be more because I think these creatures are so whimsical and so pretty, and I think that is so exemplified in this art. For a common card from 2014, it is so beautiful, and I think, like I said, those tendrils of light are greatly represented here, and it also has that same sense of eeriness. I think when you look at the neck, it almost has a skeletal presence, like this light is glowing from within them that is projecting its skeleton through the skin. I think it's such a cool detail, a mix of eerie and beauty and ghastliness with a sense of elegance. So I really enjoy this card.
Next up is Irina Nordsol. Close to 100 cards in her portfolio. Looking through these cards, it felt like I got into Magic around when she started up, with cards in Forgotten Realms and New Capenna, then all the way through with lots of Universe Beyond hits in Doctor Who, Fallout, and Avatar. The best card is a potential sleeper, and that's really just because TMNT might not have gotten as much attention towards its powerful cards. The card is Continue, with a question mark at the end. It is ultimately an anti-board wipe, allowing you to return up to 4 creatures just wiped back to the battlefield. It's definitely a nice way to sort of counter a wipe, especially if not in colors to stop the destruction from coming. Onto the best art. I was really wowed and love all the little details with Irina's version of Season's Gathering from Bloomborough. It is such a great slice of life, showing various animals preparing a party and going about their day with plenty of life and liveliness seen throughout. Lush greens, beautiful colors.
Moving on to our next artist, we have Iris Compiette. I really like her style. It seems like she uses like colored petals as her medium, which I love. I think that is something I wish we see more of in Magic art. I think her strongest card she's done is Valley Flood Caller from the Bloomborough set. Giving her non-creature spells flash is a powerful effect. The fact that this card also has flash spell is incredibly good. And then adding on the kindred synergy of birds, frogs, otters, and rats getting +1/+1 whenever you cast a non-creature spell. It's buffing your board, it's enabling flash. It has so many things on for just 3 mana. I think great card. By far, hands down, it's on Protector of Argoth. This card is also in my top 5 favorite arts of all time for Magic. Everything about this card and this art for me is perfect. The colors, the stance, the pose, adding like all the different roots, and it's just so elegant. But then you look at her face and it's so fierce. She is the Protector of Argoth. She is duty bound to protect it. Lore-wise, she fails. Sorry, Queen. But in this art, it is just everything about it is it's impeccable. It is truly a chef's kiss to me. I could look at it all day. I have this card in my collection. It's amazing to me.
The odds were against her, Serena, but ultimately nature will prevail.
Yes, the odds were indeed against her. It's hard to beat an Urza nuke, unfortunately, but you know, we tried our best.
Next on this list is Javier Charro. He hit a real stride with recent Universes Beyond sets, including Lord of the Rings, Fallout, Spider-Man, and the new Marvel superheroes. It is with that superhero set that I bring up this card that I believe will continue to grow in popularity as more and more heroes enter the lists, and that is Director Nick Fury. The backup commander for the Heroes Matter Precon, but as noted in our set review, Nick Fury is bound to be the best Jeskai choice and the real star of the show for heroes as they get more plentiful. He cuts costs for heroes and finds more off of any of your creatures attacking. The art is also cool, checking in on his Avengers and building his team. For best art, I went with Aragorn the Uniter. I just really love this whole depiction of the charge from Minas Tirith, Gondorian soldiers at his side, swords at the ready. Such an epic moment here. And plenty of benefits from casting spells of the colors in his identity.
So our next artist is Jeff A. Menges. He is an old school magic artist. I think the really, really nice thing about old magic art, which by the way, I'm not always the biggest fan of, I won't lie, but I really like Jeff's work. I think nowadays, sometimes the art within a set can just be all over the place and not always necessarily a good thing, but that's just my opinion. So I really enjoy that about old school magic art. Probably the most popular card Jeff's ever done, what is the original Swords to Plowshares. This card is a staple. It's in probably every single pre-con that has white in it. It's you'll see it everywhere. It is the gold standard for the 1 mana instant exile. So it's so hard to pick anything else from his repertoire. But I will say I think some special shout-outs should include the Bazaar of Baghdad. This is a 2,500 card. Not the most politically correct set, but it is what it is. But it's a very, very expensive card. I believe it's on the reserve list. I don't know if there's ever been any real reprintings of it. I think my favorite art though has to be the Satanical Druid. I think there is something very melancholy about this art, this cloaked figure with, I think, and then the use of shading and the cloak to get each of those folds with the light behind them, and we don't see their face, and holding this box of something. We don't know what it is, but I think it's awesome. It could be a keepsake, it could be a memory, it could be ashes, and I like that it's up for the viewer's interpretation. I also really enjoy the flavor text on this card. Driven mad by the fall of Argoth, this druids found peace only in battle. I think is a really cool insight on the fall of Argoth and the effect that it had of those that were druids of the island, and I think it's a great card. So I really enjoy this card. You can see the hilt of a sword or a knife towards the back, giving that the sense of of that badness of violence that they crave now ever since the fall of Argoth.
Jeff Miracola, over 150 cards tied to this magic staple. Number of them on the older side. You may be familiar with the Horn of Greed, but also Jeff got to do a lot of work on the Lorwyn set, which is actually where I'll be taking us for these next two cards. So the strong card that I wanted to point out is Harmonized Crescendo. Convoke spell, Kindred, Focus. If you're doing any sort of Kindred focus in blue, I think it's an easy include. You do have to consider the mana cost, which is 6. You're drawing for each permanent that you have of that type. So if you're going wide, this seems like an easy include. It's at instant speed. You could get it right in before a wipe if needed, refill your hand, and get your team back out there. Then for best art, I went with the elemental incarnation known as Emptiness. There's a full art treatment that Jeff got to do. It's completely terrifying. There's a hole where there should be a face in this incarnation, and there's a hand reaching out to get you. It's really impressive. There are a number of those elementals of a similar nature before Lorwyn that got to take up the full card. They had just really bold artwork, really bright colors to it all, and Emptiness here is no different here. If anything, you get more detail just with the treatment of it all. On to Jesper Ejsing. Over 200 cards. You will see a whole menagerie of animals of many types, goblins, beasts, bears, but maybe none more popular than the homunculus, Fiddlethip the Lost. It may be with the Marvel superhero set that the choice should be Thor, God of Thunder, or the Eminence Commander Arabo, Roar of the World. Maybe one of those, but I have to lean in on the surge of popularity that Fiddlethip has gotten over the years, especially at MagicCons, where it has been sort of a de facto mascot for the event and for Magic the Gathering as a whole. You will see Fiddlethip throughout your MagicCon experience, and it's just very fun. For best art, Instead of the small size of Fiddlethip, I went with one of the biggest, if not the biggest creature out there, Coma Cosmos Serpent. The size and scale of this serpent is crazy. Every time I look at it, I see the rocks and the waves dwarfed in comparison. Coma coils and coils in this card. I do not think it was able to capture the full creature. Very awesome card, very powerful card. Just tough to fathom the size of this serpent that just seems to go on and on. What would this serpent look like uncoiled and stretched out? Coma is so big.
Alrighty, so our next artist is Johannes Voss, who I think has a nice mix of both portrait type arts with people and then landscape art, but I think their talent shines so immensely with these landscape arts. They're just, to me, they're just so beautifully breathtaking. I think, okay, I have a personal favorite card with being Angelic Destiny. Do I think it's the strongest card they've done? Probably not, but I love Angelic Destiny so much. It's such a staple in all my enchantment decks. I think also the art is just gorgeous as well, with the lighting and it's like a mix of everything I love. The bright colors, great dynamic lighting, the flow of the skirt. It's just like it's hitting all the boxes for me. My personal favorite, I would say, is a three-way tie between all of the borderless pathways that they've done, that being Bark Channel Pathway, Blight Step Pathway, and Clearwater Pathway. Though the clear winner to me for all three is Bark Channel Pathway. It is such a beautiful card. The first face of Bark Channel being the green side, with these roots that seem suspended in the air, that you follow the line and it takes you towards the center, where then it becomes almost like this circular insignia, and it's just so like hypnotizing, and it just seems peaceful. You can just tell the weather is perfect wherever that is. It's a perfect 72 degrees, light breeze. It's amazing. And then the backside of the Tide Channel Pathway, this like almost like Moses parting the seas-esque scene of these two, like of this ocean being spread apart, and but it also seems like that's how the ocean flows. It flows in a nonsensical way that makes sense in our real world physics, but it makes perfect sense for the landscape here of creating this natural pathway for people to travel. And I can just hear the ocean and smell the breeze. It's just like, it really just takes me there. And I love the art pathway arts. It's something that I really need to add to my own collection. I want to get every single one because they're beautiful, both from the main sets that they're in and the secret layers that they were featured in. So huge fan of these art. I think Johannes, he did a great job.
Next up is Josu Hernaiz. Over 100 cards in the portfolio, with a number in the 2026 sets, Secrets of Strixhaven and Marvel Superheroes. For the most popular card, I went back to 2021 with Tireless Provisioner. Whether your deck cares about landfall or not, you're bound to get lands on the board and trigger extra treasures or extra foods. It can be paired for strong synergistic strategies or just be an extra source of ramp of any color. For best art, I really enjoyed the peaceful landscape found in the Marvel Superheroes' Scattered Groves. Really cool that Josu could capture the African wilds of Wakanda here. Big, beautiful sky, big elephants, but not as big as those trees.
My next artist is Justine Jones. Now, when I talk about talented artists, Justine's level of intricate line work is so impressive. She did a lot of the, I don't remember what the treatment's called, but it was in both the D&D sets with those like almost like the character cards, I want to call them, and the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lining. I mean, the characters themselves there's no colors, right? It's just line work. and the level of detail is so impeccable. I mean, she also did other arts with actual color in them. Her strongest card, by far, hands down, is the One Ring. She did the poster art for it from the special holiday edition. And wow, when she does add color to her art, it's this like this striking neons, you know? They're so like just in your face, and it's like amazing. It's psychedelic, you know? And it's so impressive. I mean, you look at the One Ring, everyone knows it. And she also did Sauron and Mount Doom, and it's beautiful. But my favorite art by far is the secret layer for the Self of Spirit. The Spirit Cleric, Socket, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And this art is just so cool. It looks like something from like an 80s video game, you know, this spirit with these swords impaling it, you know, showing that the self-sacrifice to protect, and the vapors like going around it with the sun or like a yellow moon in the background. And it's just so, and again, that detail work, I think that's where she really shines, is in that tiny detail. You can zoom into any of these arts and just see every single line, every single detail is thought of. There's no blending. And so these lines are sharp and they're crisp and and it's just very gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a good choice there. One Ring, very powerful. And then there are a couple of good Selfless Spirit arts out there. So I'm glad that this one got some focus.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so the next artist is Kai Carpenter. Similar to Joe, who I had talked on previously, a lot of art on modern Magic cards. Definitely Kai and Joe are two to be watching in the future and spotting their art. And it'll probably become very distinct as we continue on. So for the most popular card, what I believe is a Serena favorite is Aisling the Limitless. Coming in
Yes.
from the Lorwyn set. This card doesn't deserve to be in the 99. This card has to be a commander with full art like this. Swirling elementals around Aisling, the different colors here, the sky in the background, the landscape down below. I'm in awe. There's a really impressive art piece here. It's already impressive enough text for what Aisling can do, but sometimes I just find myself just staring at these swirling elementals instead. So I think maybe folks will appreciate being mowed over by all the elementals that Aisling summons because it's just such impressive art.
100%.
For best art, I went actually towards Aether Drift. I wanted to make sure that I put some focus on this distinct art style here with Seat of Varma, Masked Racer. You get to see a couple of the different cars in the background as Sita is running away from them. And it's just a really impressive art to create such an action scene such as this with so much chaos in the background. You've got flames of many different types, drivers fumbling and being blasted out of their cars. I just was really impressed with this art, and I wanted to make sure that I got some focus.
This brings us to our next artist, Kieran Yanner, who has done some amazing art. I mean, it was so hard to choose which of the most powerful cards he's done. I mean, he literally has done Chrome Mox, he's done Demonic Tutor, he's done Armageddon. He had a whole secret layer that was dedicated to him for the Artist Spotlight, which I have the entire secret layer because I was obsessed. I would say the top 3 cards were the ones I mentioned, the secret layer for Armageddon. Any art where Sarah is depicted, I'm a fan of, and it's just so beautiful. And then the Demonic Tutor in the same secret layer shows this, like, it's this intimate, like, very almost erotic depiction of this demon and this man and this embrace. And of course it shows, you know, again, the flavor text, betray me Betray to me your innocence, and I shall speak to you of power and corruption. This give and take relationship of I will give you this power, but here is the price is your innocence and your purity. Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, the Avishkar Chromox, it's so beautiful. I mean, talk about iconic artifacts. I mean, Chromox is just so powerful. But my favorite, because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, is his depiction of Galadriel Lothlorien in the mural artwork that he did. He actually did a couple of the murals for Lord of the Rings. And I mean, when you think of Galadriel for Lord of the Rings, you think ethereal, you think elegant, you think, majestic. And I think this depiction of her is just perfect. I mean, she with her dress and the flowiness and the holding out and reaching out to, I believe, I wanna say it might be Gandalf. I need to see the full art again, but it's just so beautiful, and with the water and the choice of colors he used, it's just the way he the way you can depict lighting and painting, I think that's true magic because you look at this and she's literally glowing with no real light in this artwork, but it's the way that the technique he used of hazing out or making the edges around her blend into the background to give it that glow look. It's top notch. It's chef's kiss. I love it so much.
Yeah, a lot of great choices there. I'm glad you pointed out a number of amazing art pieces there because they're also powerful cards too.
So Leon Tucker, he is a very structural artist. I think where he really shines is creating these architectural designs in his art with beautiful, you know, vehicles and buildings and artifacts and artifact creatures. His style really shines in those like really nice, intricate, flowing metal designs that blend elegance with industry. I think, in my opinion, I think probably the most popular card, his depictions of stomping grounds and hallowed fountain from the Clue Ravnica collaboration and those cards that he did. They also tie with my personal opinion of his best art. I think there's something really fun about these arts. It's one of those you look at it and the more you see, the more details you see from, the hints of the dead bodies in them and the little clues here and there of like footprints or a shadowy figure with a knife. And I think both are really cool. I think they're just fun art. I definitely like them.
Here we have Liiga Smilshkalne. Something you'll see from Liiga's portfolio are bursts of color, concentrations of color that your eyes are drawn to and that affect the rest of the card art. A number of choices from some of the modern sets of these past couple of years, Duskmourn, March of the Machines, but both my powerful choice and art choice are ones that at least had appearances in Duskmourn. One with the multiverse is my powerful card choice. I might have a bias because of my love for the Brothers' War, but if you have this enchantment land, you have to be leading the game from here on out, if not already. Finally, your powerful spells are coming out for nothing but some previous hard effort. In a similar vein, Breach the Multiverse was close on my list, with some similar feelings towards it, but I have to go with Urza Planeswalker. I also feel like both of these cards have exactly the right mana cost for what they do, not too expensive and not too overly broken. Now for best art, maybe a broken card because Screaming Nemesis can really affect games. This spirit is an image that will get lodged in your brain. The ominous shades of red and purple with arm-like energy bands outstretched, just letting you know damage is being spread across the table.
Then our next artist is Lucas Graciano. And right away, the most powerful card is most definitely the 2018 Judge gift cards of Vampiric Tutor. I mean, It's Vampiric Tutor. What else is there to say? I will say a special shout out, I would say probably for second place, is Up the Beanstalk. That 2-mana enchantment of it's such good card draw when you're doing big creature decks or even just big spell decks. You have to be a creature spell as long as its mana value is 5 or greater. But my favorite art that they did is from the Innistrad remastered set of Infernal Grasp. So cool. I mean, I love the use of negative space. There's literally nothing going on in the background. It's pure black, which adds to the terror of this card. And I love the shade of red he used for this demon. It is just that blood red, which is so Innistrad. And it's beautiful. I might have to get this card because I'm obsessed with it. It's beautiful.
It is a good card, and yeah, if I was that person, I'd be so terrified. I mean, right? The hands are coming out from behind.
Yep.
Complete surprise is depicted so well on that person's face, on that poor victim.
Next artist is Manuel Castanon, a newer Magic the Gathering artist. Probably his strongest card is a new one, being Dina's Guidance, that 3-mana instant tutor. I think it's really good because it's a 3-mana instant tutor you can do on someone's end step. It goes straight to the hand, so you don't have to waste like a card top slot. Personally, I think it's a very underrated tutor because I think it's it's a creature tutor, but still, it's in the colors you're probably looking for a creature anyways. But my favorite art that he's done the Secret Rendezvous card from the original Strixhaven set. I love this card. I think it's really cute. I love the depiction of these two girls. I think a really beautiful card. So I really like it. I'm glad that it had this depiction in Magic, especially in the original printing. Love these lesbians. I love them. Let them have their secret rendezvous. Let them be public rendezvous. It's not okay that they're from different colleges is what probably the card is depicting.
Next up is the one and only Mark Taden. Over 200 cards in Mark's portfolio. Mark will be at MagicCon Amsterdam, people. So many cards from classic old school Magic, but some modern ones too. Something I found as a kind of unique theme with Mark's cards, like Chaos Orb and Abomination, the images, well, they just kept reminding me of brains. You see a lot of waves, layered lines, and the art all cascading along each other. Anyway, when you think of Mark, you're probably thinking on what is probably the most iconic card of Commander Magic, and that is the original Soul Ring. Pay 1 and tap for 2 colorless mana. Lots of iconic cards here, like Doubling Cube, but nothing beats this staple, and this design reminiscent of a blazing sun. You know the art, and this is the who for where it started. For the best art, it might be a biased pick, again showing my enjoyment over the history of Dominaria, but I went with the enchantment No Mercy. Mark's depiction of the time warp / time skewed attack on the Tolarian Academy is really impressive art. I enjoy the depiction of Keurig and his multiplied army, and it is a good enchantment, making a point that you are not to be attacked without there being consequences. It's a powerful way to dissuade attacks from coming your way.
Our next artist is Marta Nael, a Magic artist who has recently come into the spotlight. She has center of controversy with the new One Ring in the Hobbit set, where her original art from the original Lord of the Rings was plagiarized. As someone who is a huge artistic admirer, I don't think any sort of plagiarism is okay. And so I'm really happy that they're giving her the proper credit, that she'll be getting a portion of the sales from that card. So obviously the most powerful card she's ever done. I have this card in this art. It is so pretty. I mean, it is the One Ring, you know, and I think she perfectly exemplified the moment of it falling into Mount Doom and Gollum's hands reaching desperately for it. It's beautiful work. And then the other most powerful card that she's done, Atraxa Grand Unifier. Not the proliferating Atraxa, but the Atraxa where once it hits the board, you get a lot of things if you hit each of those card types. It's also a keyword soup card. Very powerful, probably second to the other Atraxa, but still a great card. My personal favorite card of hers, though, is the Sun Gold Sentinel from Midnight Hunt. I think this card, there's just something about it. It's just pretty, you know, these floating lanterns, and it's a Cathar night, and in the woods, she's elegant and strong, and it's a beautiful mix of the two. And I think Marta really nailed that aesthetic of strong women while also showing the elegance and the beauty surrounding her. I'm a huge fan. I really like this card. It's a really nice use of showcasing how these knights operate in these woods. I think it was a very smart decision to make it.
Up next is Mathias Kollros. Over 150 cards for Mathias across modern and older sets. A theme in the portfolio that I picked up on centered on flashes of light and color, and the use of contrasting colors that would mix and clash with each other. Now, the card I chose for the strongest category got a lot of love when it showed up as a 2020 Precon commander for the keyword soup deck, and that is Cathrall, Aspect Warper. A nightmare bug with tendrils aplenty, searching your graveyard for your fallen keyword-rich creatures, and boosting it and your remaining team upon Cathrall's entering. A close second in strength, though these two feel pretty interchangeable for both categories. I very much enjoy the art of Veyran, Voice of Duality. I love the free-spirited flow of fire magic and water magic showing up with this Efreet. This is Prismari at its peak. It's playful and fun, and I feel like I pick up something new in the art every time I look at it.
All right, our next artist is Maxime Minard. Also an artist that is more of a creature specialty rather than a figurative artist, which I always enjoy. Definitely likes making or creating creatures that some would probably not describe as the prettiest, but at the same time, the balance of fantasy when it comes to having pretty creatures and also gritty, ugly, creatures that look like they'll just tear you apart without a second thought. I think the strongest card that he has made has to be Scrawling Crawler. This card, when it came out in Foundations, became such a staple for Shieldred decks or Nekuzar decks, even Bumbleflower decks. The fact that it's 3 mana generic just kind of makes it so versatile in every deck, into any deck at all. And the fact that it gives you an extra card, and even though it gives your opponents extra cards, it still punish them for said card draw. So it's a great card, and I love this borderless treatment. It is super cool. Love this weird negative space where gravity doesn't seem to affect everything the same way, with these floating tablets and all its appendages and working on multiple things at once. It is definitely a pesky little Phyrexian. Who knows what it could be up to? But my favorite card is Ishai Ojutai Dragon Speaker from the Bloomberg bonus sheet. I just love the symmetry in this art, with the wings spread out, perched on his staff, with these kind of wind gusts around him, but the water being so tranquil underneath. It's with only little spurts here and there. It's a very cool scene of this juxtaposition of these clouds with the peaceful, tranquil pond. It's really cool. I very much enjoy this art, and I think Maxim did a great job.
Mila Pesic has a knack for magic art focused on humans and humanoids. You'll see cards from her on modern sets like Outlaws of Thunder Junction and Murders at Karlov Manor, and a number of recognizable ones at that. Case in point, if you enjoyed Baldur's Gate 3, like I did, you will recognize Jaheira, Friend of the Forest. The focus on background is cool, allowing for the adding of specific enchantments to be played from the command zone, if Jaheira was also chosen for that zone, and can allow for an expanded color identity. And Jaheira's ability is very powerful, adding the ability for all your tokens to tap for green mana. In any deck, that is a great bonus, but in many, that gives lots of potential for advantages on big spells. For best art, I went with Zimone, Mystery Unraveler. This was one of the Duskmourn Precon commanders, and Zimone got the full art treatment. Quandric powers swirling as our hero travels around a haunted mansion. The purple streams of magic and the reflective tint of the skull heads are really cool, if you dare to look closely.
Our next artist is Milivoj Ceran. So sorry if I mispronounced that. My French is very rusty. He has done some great works. I think, though, it's a tie for what I think is probably his most popular and also my personal favorite for the art, being Chatterfang Squirrel General from Modern Horizons 2, the borderless treatment. I just love this. It's just so fun to me. All the squirrels in the background, and each of them have like almost like a different emotion, it seems like a different like expression that they're doing, with Chatterfang at the center. And the nice detail of Chatterfang being literally green and black, like his color identity, is also like a very like tongue-in-cheek sort of moment of like, well, of course the green and black squirrel is green and black mana colors. I like the war paint. But I think it's also another art that was done using pencil, I want to say. Like the line work and like the sketch marks, very much so that done with a very thin, pointed pencil. Could be wrong, but it is gorgeous. And then I do want to give a special shout out for another popular card that he done, which is Heir Apparent. This card, when it came out in Foundations, took token decks by storm. We have a friend who has a Balin Heir Apparent deck, and it gets so insanely out of control. So don't underestimate this little rabbit.
Alayna Richards also goes by Alayna, as is noted on the website. So you'll see Layna's work on sets like Foundations, Avatar, Modern Horizons 3, a number of recent sets there. Now, my pick for what I believe is a very popular card, and I would say it was even more so because of Lorwyn Eclipsed. Alayna had a Bitter Blossom that she was able to do for a secret lair. It's just filled with fairies. There's these pink and purple hues. She's able to cover the whole card with this image. You sometimes don't even pay any attention to the text just because you see the artwork through the whole thing. So I think that's a really cool one there. She has done a counterspell, so some folks may say, oh, well, counterspell is the most powerful thing you can do is stop something from happening. But I think folks should look at this Bitter Blossom when you're considering the many choices there.
Mm-hmm. Very
Now,
true.
when it comes to the best art, I like the treatment for a lot of the Wilds of Eldraine, the Enchanting Tales cards. So Lena did a Defense of the Heart, which is an enchantment in green.
Mm.
It's really like the design. You just see this mix of red and black and white as these characters just circle in on a rose. And I love the Wilds of Eldraine, these arts. They've got these quotes on them. It just feels so unique when it comes to all these cards. So Defense of the Heart is a really impressive one, and it's a pretty strong card too.
Totally agree. And also shout out to the borderless Commander Masters Jeweled Lotus that she did. RIP to Jeweled Lotus, banned card, but it's that card is still worth such a pretty penny, even though it's banned and only used and can only be used in Commander. But I love that card. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Next up is Olivier Bernard. Olivier has been a part of a number of modern sets from 2026 and these past few years, including Secrets of Strixhaven, Lorwyn Eclipsed, Aether Drift, and Modern Horizons 3. I'll get right into the most popular card of Olivier's bunch, and that is Glunch, the Bestower. Before Miss Bumbleflower started demolishing in the group hug arena, this was one of the main, if not the main, de facto group hug commander, with its ability to choose friends at the table to benefit from the various end-step abilities. Politics aplenty with this commander, and with playful art and a silly name to match, this gave for more comfortable group hug games over the Bumbleflower fly and stomp strategies. For best art, we continue with the whimsy, with Prismari's fantastical bands Zephi and the Tempest. The art shows them in their prime, rocking a crowd at a Red Rock. Not necessarily the Red Rocks concert venue, but there is a Red Rock, which I hope is a nod to that location. Anyway, the troupe is showcasing their instruments and employing a stance perfect for a dorm poster. A whole story in this one.
Alrighty, we'll be moving to Paolo Parente, our next artist. Paolo is interesting. I think, he was also an older school magicist. And then there's another one on this list. I like seeing the evolution of these artists from their earlier works to something newer. I think an example of that newer work that he's done is the Borderless Wistfulness from Lauren Eclipse, which took standard storm as well when it came out. I know that it was a highly sought out card, and this artist so cool. It's psychedelic in a way, but also has this type of almost like a neon orange look to it. I love this aesthetic, and this elemental just looks, I don't know how to describe it, which is exactly what Lorwyn elementals are like. And so I think he just nailed this art, absolutely. And I just love the coloring as well. It's really beautiful. So my favorite art that he's done is from Double Masters 2022, the Borderless Bloodbraid Elf card. I love the background of this art, of these legless peacock swans. I think they're so elegant, and it's beautiful. And then the juxtaposition of the foreground with this elf and with these really severe lines holding this bloody knife, and it's like this mixture of elegance and a little bit of violence, but she's so poised. Think, oh, what an elegant, gorgeous woman, and this elegant setting. And then you look closer and it's like, oh my God, this woman that's blood on the horns, that's blood in the hair and the knife, and it's like a deceivingly beautiful portrait. So I love this art.
I'm covering Paul Scott Canavan. There might be comparatively fewer cards in the portfolio compared to some of the other artists in this listing, but there's no lack of stunning and iconic art here. Take the most powerful card here. Nothing more powerful than a counterspell, especially if it costs no mana. And this one is Force of Negation. Pay no mana if you exile a blue card from your hand and counter a non-creature spell. At the right time, this is ensuring that board wipe stays away, or maybe you're exiling a graveyard recursion piece. The red background against the cool blue of the protective orb of energy, nothing is getting through. This wizard is having none of that. For best art, this is something that evoked a lot of emotion for me, mainly of fear. This is Shabraz, the Sky Shark. A truly terrifying hybrid creature, a bird shark, painted just so well. Partnered with a brave human that seems to have tamed this one, but on Ikoria, it seems these sky sharks could be plentiful across the plane, so watch your head when visiting.
It's like, who came up with the sky shark?
Okay, so I'm covering Ralph Horsley. Over 100 cards tied to Ralph, so it's a little tough to make this choice, but this card is near and dear to me, and as you may know from some of my previous videos, I very much enjoy Landfall. So when it came to best card, I had to go with Felidar Retreat. This is a 3 and a white enchantment with landfall. Whenever you get a land onto the battlefield, you're either creating a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or you're putting a +1/+1 counter on each creature and giving them vigilance until end of turn. It's an excellent go wide strategy card, and the art is very fun. You don't know where to start with your looking first. Do you check out some of these cats in the foreground, the couple that are pouncing? Do you maybe turn your stomach a little when you start seeing some of the bones that are towards the right and towards the foreground? Or do you just stare into that beautiful sky? Yeah, a beautiful sky as the sun starts to go down, all the clouds with their red and purple hues. Really cool card there. And then the bones continue as we go into the best art. I had to note Ralph Horsley's special guest, Field of the Dead. This is so frightening. The floorboards are starting to be peeled away by all of these zombies. The sunlight coming in, it could be that same sun from Felidar Retreat, not too far away. You've got somewhere you've got what looks maybe like a church has been completely cleared out. Field of the Dead, very powerful card. And yeah, there's just so much going on here. It'd be very tricky to count all of the zombies in all of this. It's a lot on one card, and it's really impressive and incredibly scary.
Our next artist, Randy Gallegos. Again, another old school Magic artist, but he has done some very iconic cards. A couple of ones that are super popular and still powerful is Burgeoning, another 1-mana green enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a land, you may play a land. And Earthcraft is another one, a huge combo piece. Oh my gosh, my friend has a squirrel deck with Earthcraft, and it kills me. It kills me every time. And every time I see it, I go, "You're a problem." And that's why the card is like $100. It's expensive. The last one of the most popular, I would think, is Urza's Incubator. Great card. I have it in my Ashling deck. It's super, super, super huge value engine in typal decks. I mean, for only 3 mana to have those cards cost 2 less is pure value. But moving to my favorite art, it has to be hands down the Borderless Commander Masters version of Fierce Guardianship. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Again, I've talked about I love it when you see art and you know exactly what's going on. You can look at each of the different people in this art and look at their faces, all feeling a different emotion. But the woman at the center holding her arms up, creating that barrier of blue light protecting against the flame. And even the best part about this card, in my opinion, is the fact that the art goes into the title of the card and the flames coming down from above. It gives it that 3D look. The art really pops out at you. And the other favorite part of this is her face, full of determination. There's nothing's going to stop her. You will not get past her defenses. And I think that is so amazing. She is so fierce. It's so powerful. I love this depiction of fierce guardianship. So this is hands down my favorite. My next artist is Randy Vargas. I also chose a free counterspell for his most powerful card, that being Fierce Guardianship. I mean, it's a game changer. He did the original art for it. I mean, I think out of all if you control your commander, you can cast this for free cards. This is definitely one of the most useful in my opinion. I'm personally biased to Flawless Maneuver, but that's just me. But Fierce Guardianship is such a card. There's a reason it's a game changer. My for art though, it's another common card that I chose. It's called Bearer of Memory from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. There's something about this art, I actually haven't said it once today. There's something very whimsical about this art. I think it perfectly exemplifies the title of this card earlier that I love when a card does. This woman holding what looks to be like a brush wand, which is so cool, and being able to create these memory visions or memory illusions that are surrounding her in this scene on a bridge. It's just like it's so beautiful, and I love the expression of the woman in it as well. It's like the happiness, the slight sad smile of when you're remembering old happy memories of nostalgia, and that joy of remembering mixed with the sadness of missing it is, I think the face was perfectly exemplified here.
All right, so the next artist is Rebecca Guai. Over 150 cards tied to Rebecca. Also in Gatherer, there's an entry called "Don't Mess with Me," and you'll see what's potentially more of like an uncard for Rebecca. You should definitely. It's very interesting. This actually calls Rebecca out as a pristine artist, and I agree because with those 150 cards, they were all really impressive. What was fun, there's a lot of women depicted on them of a similar nature. It was actually kind of fun seeing the art continue in some ways across all of these different cards. You start recognizing maybe it's the same woman that's on, this embodies this enchantress as she's doing all of these different spells tied to all of this different lore with these Magic the Gathering cards. So yeah, definitely take a look at something like Enchantress's Presence, and then also look at Priest of Titania, and you'll sort of see what I mean here. And I think some of that actually continues a little bit with what I think is a most popular or a favorite, though it is a more new card, and that is Bitterbloom Bearer, and this is specifically the serialized version.
I love that art.
Yeah, oh yeah. It is, of course, if you're running Bitter Blossom that we talked about at the very beginning with Lena, and you've got Bitter Bloom Bear, right? You've got that consistency there. The I can only imagine seeing this in like a foil, just shines so much with the purple and pink hues in the middle, and then you've got these sharp contrasts with Lorwyn, of course, with the black all around the edges. It's really cool. I think it's really cool, and of course, you get to see this image just throughout the whole card here.
Rebecca Guai, I mean, she is just so iconic. And moving on to our next artist, who I would argue might be either just as iconic or more iconic, we're moving to Richard Kane Ferguson. Now, when I talk about distinct art styles, everyone can recognize a Richard Kane Ferguson art from a mile away. He has such a distinct style, and controversial opinion, I'm not the biggest fan, but before anyone doxes me, I can recognize his incredible talent. His style is so unique and it's so distinct, and it's so beautiful. I mean, even though it's not my thing, I think it's so iconic. I mean, I could go on and on about it. Obviously, he's done some very important cards. His most popular and probably most powerful as well. He did all of the 1 mana instant tutors from the Dominaria remastered set. And I mean, Vampiric Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, Worldly Tutor, Mystical Tutor. He did all of those. And I mean, you just know his art. I think my favorite art he did, though, is a toss-up between Gonti Night Minister from the Aetherdrift set. I think this art is really unique. I think it's really pretty. And it has the depiction of Gon on his throne. And I feel like my issue with sometimes with Richard Kane Ferguson is that the art can get a little bit messy for me. And it gets it's sometimes there's too much going on or it's too busy. But this one is just, I think it's clean. I think it's still within his style. And I think it has a great depiction of Gonti with that scepter in his throne room. And it almost looks like it's covered in these like sheer veils and gives that mysterious sort of dark presence that Gonti really exemplifies. But my all-time favorite art of his is absolutely the Commander Masters borderless version of Fact or Fiction. This art is so beautiful because it's so clean and it's distinct. You know exactly what you're looking at. It's this beautiful fairy as she's raising this huge sword that of course is so impractical to wield, but it's so beautiful. The moon in the background and this flowing water. It reminds me of in Arthurian legend, the Lady of the Lake. You know, this woman as she is this ethereal presence and this sword, and it's just I love this scene. I think it's beautiful. It makes me want to know more. It makes me want to see who is this fairy, and of course, and this is all just on an instant. You know, no named card, and I think it's beautiful. And I love the flavor text. Does this choice really seem so simple, Sir Knight? Again, really kind of ties in with Arthurian legend type of style and aesthetics. So I love this.
I like it, Serena. And see, it takes a true professional to be able to talk on the likes and the dislikes, to note the messiness and the detail that can be done through across all of these magic cards. It sounds like you had a lot to be able to look at and to favor over in the end.
Ah, thank you, thank you.
Okay, so I get to cover RK Post, potentially known as Rick Post, depending on who you get to talk to. Over 120 cards, a lot of dark, bold, defined arts. RK Post did Unmask as well as Identity Revealed from the Spider-Man set, and you sort of see it. I had just talked about this with Rebecca with regards to that Enchantress figure going from card to card, and I think that's been really fun with a number of these artists getting to look through all of their art, is see where they're allowed to take concepts that are so well known in older Magic cards and then bring them to something newer. So I thought that was really interesting. The strongest or most popular card I went with was Phyrexian Reclamation. That one is, just for 1 black, you're able to get this enchantment out, and then constantly you're able to pay 1 and a black and 2 life to bring a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Just constant recursion, especially if you're getting it out early and you know exactly when to play that mana, bring all of your targeted creatures back. You don't care about them dying. Death is no excuse to stop working, is the flavor text, and it matches perfectly. For best art, I had to call out the World Gorger Dragon. I actually missed this one with Dominaria Remastered. I liked a lot of Dominaria Remastered, but I didn't get to see this one until recently. And I just thought it was just really interesting, this dragon just covering the entirety of Dominaria. Or of course, what I can only assume is Dominaria, but I think it matches. And you just see the space, you get to see, right, an entire globe here. You rarely, going from plane to plane, you often, I think it's helpful that we've got Edge of Eternities to talk a little bit about space, but you sometimes forget that these are entire worlds that are being depicted here as we're jumping from city to city within these planes, but you're covering just massive landscapes here. And the World Gorger Dragon puts it all into perspective, and it's just really well detailed. I really just like how this art looks. It's very unique.
I do love that art for World Gorger Dragon. It is beautiful. I've actually never seen this art before, so thank you for showing that because it's beautiful.
Okay, so I get to talk on Scott M. Fisher. Over 150 cards in Gatherer tied to Scott. Number of old cards. Some incredible full art cards. Definitely take a look at those. When it comes to strongest or most popular, I had to point out the Mother of Runes, which is a 1/1 human cleric, 1 white mana with the tap ability to give a target creature protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Some decks really have figured out how to work that tap untap mechanic to just keep the protection going, and the Mother of Runes lets you ride that wave all the way to victory. For best art, I went with the Vidalcan Ori. Full art here. Just this like inventor making this invention here, allowing us to cast spells from Flash, observing the multiverse as is noted from the flavor text, these purple hues in the background, working late nights trying to build out this invention. Again, I love seeing the globe here. Just it just felt very unique to me. This style and this depiction of the Vidalcan Ori. It's already an interesting card there. It's got a very special place within Magic, I think, as you're allowed to cast those spells as though they had flash. And I really liked this artwork. It definitely felt very unique compared to some of the other versions. And that's one that I sought out when I wanted a Vidalcan Ori. It's got those sci-fi fantasy vibes.
I love that Vidalcan Ori art. It is so beautiful.
Next up is Serena Melion, not to be confused with the Serena co-hosting this video. Two different people there. An impressive artist, Serena has handled a lot of art in recent sets. Many of the origin sagas for Marvel superheroes, if not all of them, were done by Serena. She has full art and special guest cards in Lore When Eclipsed, stained glass treatments for March of the Machines. You can tell Serena has a lot of artistic skill and a variety of art styles and is just getting started. Be on the lookout here. Case in point, the most popular card is The Coming of Galactus, another saga from Marvel superheroes. When this card was spoiled, everyone was excited to see that within 4 turns, unless you're working some counter manipulation, you are getting what we thought was going to be the only depiction of Galactus, a 16/16 Elder Alien creature token that destroys a target land when attacking. Everyone was abuzz when this card was depicted, and the artwork definitely helped out. Seeing the Fantastic Four completely dwarfed by Galactus in the background, looming large. Now when it came to best art, I enjoyed the stained glass treatments for Magic the Gathering cards, so I really enjoyed Vesuvian Drifter from March of the Machines. You can see the woman floating above the multiple shades of blue of the pool below, the ripples shown in the glass, and the bold red for our shapeshifter are just so nice.
My next artist is Siddharth Chaturvedi. He did the really cool borderless treatments from Lost Caverns of Ixalan with the dinosaurs, and I just love the technique he used of these paintings. Almost looks like a mix. I want to say it's watercolor. I think he used watercolor for these arts, and I love watercolor paintings. Love it. So I think it's so beautiful. I love when you can make really detailed work with watercolor. I think it's such a talent, and I think he nailed all of his cards that in the set for it. I think the most popular card that he's done would have to be Pantlaza, the Sun Favored. I mean, this is like the dinosaur commander, and it's something that once you see hit the field, like any other dinosaur commander, it's like we got to remove this right now, or else it's over. Like the steamrolling gets going really fast. So definitely a very very strong card. But my personal favorite that he did is the Hauntwood Shrieker, the borderless treatment from Duskmourn. I think it's so cool. I think showing the Hauntwood Shrieker in the reflection of the knife that the victim is holding up to show what's coming at them, and the fear in their eyes is just so palpable that you can just like you see the horror and the impending doom of like I'm dead, this is it, I have nothing else to do. Yeah, I love this art. I think the perspective is really cool. I like how he did it. Our next artist is Steve Argyle. I think when I was looking through the cards that he's done, I think the most popular / iconic / powerful card that he's done is 1000% Deathrite Shaman from Ravnica. It's such a staple in Golgari decks and any sort of sacrificing graveyard recursion, anything decks, lands, everything like that. It's just so it's everywhere, for 1 mana to get that on the field and you can already get your engine going. Super powerful. But for my favorite art, it was a tie between Mayel's Aria, which is an enchantment from Double Masters 2022. This is, to me, such a beautiful scene. You know, you see Mael, this elf, as she's standing and, you know, singing the aria as she's flowing in the wind with her beautiful dress and, you know, her cloak behind her with her hair in the wind. And in the distance, you see this giant hydra, and it's so, like, such an epic scene with the sunset in the background. It's so cinematic, you know, I can see this perfectly in my mind as, like, some epic fantasy scene of, like, taming this beast. And, of course, it's an alternate win con card. I love an alternate win con card. I think winning in unique ways is so fun. So this is, like, definitely such a cool card for me. And then my other favorite is the Textless Ponder from the 2008 Magic Player Awards. I mean, this wizard, and, you know, his head is turned away from us facing the stars, and his body is at this insane angle where his hand holding the staff is reaching towards us, but his other hand is reaching towards the moon and the stars, and the stars are doing this really unique movement. It's almost like he's manipulating the stars himself. And I love a flowing cloak. I love a flowing robe. I love wizard's clothes. I love mage clothes. I love a good, you know, whimsical chiffon. It's gorgeous. So, um, I love this art. And again, I love a textless card because we all know what Ponder does, but I think this art is just very special.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say with the textless, is that it requires a lot of faith, I think, from Wizards to say, okay, folks are going to know what this is. And I think it puts a lot of faith in the artist. And I think, you know, it's definitely a sort of accomplishment to be allowed to do a textless card, to be given, in some case, full authority of what this card is going to look like, and to be able to take full advantage of it, as is seen here with Ponder. Yeah, speaks loads, I think, for the artist and their ability, their prominence, I think.
Yep, 100%.
So we're going to continue with Steves and Stevens for a little bit. I'm going to cover Steve Ellis. See a number of Steve's cards in Lorwyn, MH3, Spider-Man, and what's really of note, I think, of Steve, and when I think of Steve, when I saw Steve's cards, what jumped out at me were the companions. And so I'm actually covering two here for the most popular and also with the best art. And for most popular, I'm going to talk on Loris of the Dream Den. It's a card that, you know, if you've seen it, you've definitely seen it, and you've seen this version. Full art here. These iconic, panther looking like creatures, these cat nightmares, 4 eyes each. You've got sort of the mama and the young cat, the young kitty, the young kitten. And with that ability, once during each of your turns, you may cast a permanent spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard. It's doing a lot of what Orzhov wants to be doing, white-black wants to be doing. And so I see that. I see Loris a lot in Aristocrat Orzhov decks. And then for best art, I went with Garuda, Doom of Depths. This card, when I think on Magic art and think on very unique art styles, I think on Doom of Depths. This demon kraken covers the entire card in tentacles and these blues and blacks and reds. You don't totally know what all you're like looking at. You can only imagine the size of this demon kraken, this just monstrous creature, and that shade of blue, right? I feel it's very unique. It's really interesting to see on cards. So I've got Steven Veladin, over 150 cards tied to Steven. A number of them I recognized, a number that I felt were staples. A lot of ties to Bloomborough, Ixalan, a lot of zombies, Phyrexian, lands as well. So I feel like everybody's seen Steven, though you may not have always paid too much attention to it. So case in point, one that I believe is a fan favorite is Ethereum Sculptor. This is just a classic staple. 1 in a blue, 1/2 Vidalcan Artificer artifact creature, and artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. You try to get this out as early as you can to reduce the cost of all of your other artifacts. If you're playing artifacts, it's really tough to make a case why you would not include this card. And so you're seeing Steven everywhere when it comes to artifact decks. Then for best art, I wanted to note Kiki Jiki, Mirror Breaker. This one is one that I feel like, though I've not necessarily seen it played in my pods and personal experiences, I know that art. I recognize that sneer and the eyes in the background, the flames behind Kiki Jiki. One of those cards that screams iconic Magic to me, and so I had to call that one out. So a lot of kudos to Steven on these cards.
I love that name, Kiki Jiki. I think it's such a fun name. Our next artist is Svetlin Villeneuve. He probably his most powerful card that he's done is Deceit from the new Lorwyn Elemental cycle. I mean, I heard this. I don't play Standard, but I heard this was a Menace in Standard. So I think it's a great strong card. I think Elementals is definitely where he shines. He also did all the borderless Evoke Elementals from Modern Horizons 2 that were reprinted as special guests in Modern Horizons 3. Those cards, I think, those are also my favorite cards, but that he's done as well. I think those borderless cards exemplify what, to me, an elemental is. It really is an incarnation of the elements of nature and wind and water and fire and light and darkness. I think they're both whimsical and mysterious, and they have a form, but you know that this form is fluid and it changes. And I think all these arts depict such beautiful depictions of that. So absolutely, I think he nailed these arts. They're just that to me, when I think of an elemental in my mind, this is what appears.
Next up is Titus Lunter. Over 100 cards in Titus's portfolio, plenty of focus on lands, landscapes, nature, and architecture, with lots of modern cards spread out across his portfolio. The most popular card has to be Urza Saga. Can anyone name a better enchantment land? Can anyone even name another enchantment land? Urza Saga has to be it. When you play it right and maximize all 3 stages, it is worth the money. And I like the art with the historical text of Urza and his machinations. When it comes to best art, I really enjoyed the multicolor aesthetics across the grim landscape within Thriving Moor. I love the flavor text, it really sums it up. Beauty appears in strange places for those with eyes to see it. As you continue to look at this landscape, you see these flowers that are floating above this mix of something like water and oil that's able to reflect the evening sky above, purples and reds in the clouds above. You sometimes miss out on it, but you shouldn't miss out on seeing the shades of browns and grays and the blacks of the land, the swamp, each side beautifying the other.
Absolutely. Also, name an enchantment land. I can. Valgavoss Lair. Thank you very much. I will not take the erasure of Valgavoss Lair from the enchantment lands, though it does come in tapped. But you know what? It's still an enchantment land. But Urza Saga is the enchantment land, I would say. So, I mean, it's just an iconic card, you know. Our next artist is Tom Wannerstrand, another old school magic artist. He did the original Blood Moon, a very iconic enchantment, mass land denial. Great card. Another powerful card he did is Capsize, an evil combo control piece for stacks. Hate this card, but it's super strong. And then lastly, he did do the original City of Brass, of a very iconic land everyone loves. A nice little ping land for any color mana you wish. But my favorite art that he's done is from Dominaria Remastered, which is the Helm of Awakening, this artifact where all spells cost 1 less to cast. This art, I love this art because it's mysterious, you know? You look at it and you can tell this is a relic from a civilization long lost, and it's from a time that um, you'll never go back to again. And I think there's something so special about that. You know, my favorite artistic medium is sculpture. And so to see this art, which is an art of a sculpture with this helm, and it tells such a story. There's so much history in whatever this was, and I'm again, it's most likely Dominaria and long, long ago. I'm not fully caught up in Dominarian lore, but I think this is such a cool relic of time that gets depicted from that Tom did. So I love this art. It's great. Now we move on to Tyler Jacobson. Huge fan of Tyler. He did a couple of the mural arts as well for Lord of the Rings. So it is huge fan already, obviously, for me. His most powerful card, hands down, is Orcish Bowmasters. I mean, it is a huge, 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 I mean, game changer. Powerful card. But pair it with Azula, you can get 2 of them, which I did in a game, and it was so punishing. Everyone hated me, but I loved every second. And my favorite art from him, aside from all the mural arts that he did for Lord of the Rings, is the dark deal for the Secret Lair drop um, for the Dungeon Master Guide. And this dark deal is just it's so cool. It's I mean, the art itself, it's, you know, this demon and what I'm guessing is a warlock, and then this dark knight with a flaming sword. I mean, can you get any more fantasy than that than a knight with a flaming sword? I mean, hello. And I love the darkness of this painting, you know, and the way that the detail is worked into this painting is through the lighting and the very strategic use and placement of these shadings on like the soldiers or the knight's shoulder, and the warlocks on her outline of her cloak, and then the lighting that is depicting from the demons and his arc of that pink energy, and with its wings spread out. It's such an iconic sort of scene that's being laid out in sort of anyone's D&D play group. I mean, who doesn't wanna fight these evil beings at the deepest dungeon, and at the lowest level? It's just it's so beautiful. I love it. I love seeing it. Again, it's one of those arts where you look at it and you can just imagine yourself standing there facing down these enemies.
Yeah, I feel like I find something new to look at with Dark Deal every time.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I think what Serena's noting for everybody is that you don't have to feel bad with what you're playing and how you're playing, especially if you've got great artwork to look at. You basically ignore anything that's going on. Rock your beautiful, your Orcish Bowmasters, and rock your amazing Azula art, because you can't hear any of the complaints over just how stunning these cards look.
Exactly. I'm just like, wow. I did some great selections on my cards. Wow. Oh wait, you're full swinging at me. Why? What did I do? And then
That's if
then
they're
become
still
arch
alive.
enemy. Yep, for 100%.
Okay, so I'm covering another Tyler. It's actually, I didn't even recognize how much of of this same names we caught. So it is also something to note, for those folks that are looking for specific tables, don't just rely on the first name. You may need to look at those last names as well. So I've got Tyler Walpole, over 50 cards to Tyler's name within Magic the Gathering, a number of most recent sets, Foundations, Lorwyn, Duskmourn, a number of those profile-facing commanders from Modern Horizons 3. The card that I went for most popular had to be Hakbal of the Surging Soul, tied to the Ixalan Precon, really boosted what was already a strong type, already a strong kindred creature type, the Merfolk, and I think really gave it their champion there with Hakbal. And the artwork is really cool. Again, those shades of purple, the blue, the underwater feeling of it all as you prepare to do all of this exploring, add all of these +1/+1 counters. It's almost a shame that you're not going to see much of this art because you're just going to have so many +1/+1 counters on Hakbal. With regards to best art, I went with MH3's Witch Enchanter. There's that MDFC on the white side. The Witch Enchanter is all about entering and destroying a target artifact or enchantment. The backside is the land. And I love how these two pieces really complement each other, showing this larger landscape, showing just where this witch is, the sort of crop circles for on both sides. You can really feel. I just love the landscape feel to it all. An impressive sky. I just like a lot that's going on here.
We move to Victor Adame Minguez. Victor did a very iconic commander in the name of Atraxa Praetor's Voice. We all know someone with an Atraxa deck, and we all hate them. Atraxa, I mean, proliferating, whether it's Super Friends, whether it's poison counters, whatever it is, they're doing nothing good. However, I will respect anyone who builds a 4-color commander that isn't a partner commander. I think there needs to be more 4-color commanders, and I don't care how wonky it is because I think it's cool. No more Wooburg. Let's knock down some 4 colors. Another very powerful card he did was Dark Confidant. Dark Confidant is a great draw engine with the cost of your life, but if you're in mono black or Orzhov, you are definitely gaining that life back and then some. So super, super good card. But my favorite art that he did is from the Dominaria promos of Llanowar Elves. I think this is just such, I mean, there's so many arts for Llanowar Elves, but this one I think really stands out because it's just so classic. I love elves, and I love when elves are in their natural element of the forest. And I also, another huge complaint of mine I have with a lot of Llanowar Elves cards, then the card is called Llanowar Elves. But how many times do we see a Llanowar Elves card and it's just one elf? And it drives me nuts. But this one, I see 2 elves, so it's plural, and therefore checks the box for the name. So I think this is a great, it's beautiful. I love this treatment. It's borderless, but at the same time, you still have the framing. But like the text box is see-through. I think I wish there was more cards they would do in this treatment nowadays. I think it was really big. A few years ago, and I feel like it's sort of died out nowadays. But I think this treatment is so cool. I hope they bring it back soon.
It's a great choice. Yeah, definitely bring that back. That's so funny on the plural piece. I didn't even think about it. I've got the Llanowar Elves version that's sort of like the dissected one. That's definitely like
Yeah.
stands out. But yeah, I mean that one's just one as well, and
It's just one elf.
yeah.
It drives me nuts.
And it's that's crazy. Oh my gosh, that's that's so funny.
Because like it wasn't until 7th edition it was multiple elves, but for the longest time, the majority of the standard arts for Llanowar Elves is just one elf. And it's like, come on now. It's plural. That brings me to my last artist, Wayne Reynolds. Wayne Reynolds is again one of those older school magic artists that you can really see the evolution of his art through his works from recent magic cards to the older ones. I really like that. Again, he has that really, really, really detail-oriented style that he shares with Zoltan. Zoltan and him have really, really, really good detail work. I think his most powerful card would be the Bullet Steel Colossus from Double Masters 2022. I mean, this is one of those cards where maybe one of the first cards of holy crap, one of us is going to die if we don't deal with this right now. In fact, probably all of us are going to die. This artifact player just made 500 copies and is going to swing all of them at once. So it is an incredibly strong card. I mean, it is an instant kill if it goes through with the infect. And the fact that if it would be put into a graveyard, you just put it and shuffle back into your library. So the really only way is to exile it. And that is not always the easiest thing to do. So it's an incredibly powerful card. But my favorite art, honestly, a lot of my top 5 favorite arts have been in this video, because this is another one. The Secret Layer Ponder that he did for, I believe it was a D&D Secret Layer drop, is just, to me, it's perfection. From the style of this, like, I think it really is like that D&D type style of this old school retro fantasy aesthetic, but it's still in an incredibly modern way, like with the quality and the detailing, and this dragon that is just well, like the card describes, pondering his orb, and like you can tell he's conniving and thinking. And I love when dragons are depicted as intelligent. So and you can see the intelligence in this dragon's eyes, and the coloring and the shading and the lighting. It's just like, it's checking all my boxes. And this is definitely a card I would love to see in my collection one day. It is just so beautiful. So I'm really happy to end my artist series on this card, because it really is a masterpiece in my opinion. It's beautiful.
MagicCon is 17 through 19 July, so go get your tickets and check out these artists.
I hope you enjoyed that. Do you agree with the content provider? Was anything missed? Does this episode spark any topics you might want to cover? Let us know. We here at Spell Table Showcase MTG try to mix entertainment with education, and so can you. We've got plenty of Magic the Gathering topics that we have opinions on, but we want to hear yours too. If you're interested in recording a similar video for this series and making some money off it, send an email to spelltableshowcase@gmail.com and we'll tell you what to do. We want this to be a channel for the people and also by the people, so we hope to hear from you and learn about that topic that you are passionate about. Well, that about covers it. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. Be sure to subscribe to be notified when the next episode drops. Have a great rest of the day. Bye for now.